Welcome to Lost in Theaters, the podcast where we what, Ruth?
I forgot everything.
I knew, yes, where we look at movies
Right.
that have slipped through the cracks of
Time.
pop culture.
Dang
Well,
it.
the thing about they can't really slip through the cracks of time. These can't really slip through the cracks of time.
It's a rough start today.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, yeah. Are you excited for today's movie?
I have no idea what it is.
I know. I think you'll like it. And this movie is, I would say, it's a double Lost.
What?
And I would say that it's trying to, so, sometimes we want to keep things from getting lost in theaters, and that's why it's on the podcast, right? Because it's on the edge. It could be lost, but we don't want it to be.
This is a new qualification.
Oh no, that's true. I mean when we did Lost in. I looked it up. Quick note for previous listeners: Air Bud was Disney.
Oh.
So total change of topic, but Air Bud was Disney.
Nice subject change there.
Yeah. Okay. No. So the movie. Are you ready? You might have heard of this person before because you've heard of a lot of people.
Me?
Yes.
Me.
Mhm.
I've heard of a lot of people.
Cantinflas.
No idea.
Okay. So the movie's name is Cantinflas, and it came out in 2014. And it was a joint project of several different studios. And that will be understood for people who over half the movie's in Spanish.
This isn't evidence.
I know. So, for people who want no spoilers, over half the movie's in Spanish, but there are English portions. They speak Spanish when they're in Spanish-speaking cultures, and they speak English when they're in English-speaking
It's
cultures.
not a movie about the brand of floss that Kant uses every day of his life?
No, Ruth.
Oh.
That's insane. No, Cantinflas. Cantinflas? People say it different ways throughout the whole film.
Noted.
Yes, it's lovely. Right. Who is this movie for? I loved this movie. This is something that it's important.
And that is a red flag, everybody.
Hang on.
Just kidding.
I didn't love the movie, but it definitely falls into a category of movie that I really enjoy. That is movies about movies.
Look at me, not twitching.
Singing in the Rain.
Okay.
Hail Caesar.
I think you've mentioned that like
Cantinflas.
every other episode.
Hail
I mean,
Caesar?
actually.
Because it's a reference point for me. Like, it wasn't made in the 40s, but it looks like the 40s and 50s. So when you try to, like, appeal that aesthetic, I just don't have very many of those films that I can just, like...
And who of our listeners do you think has seen Hail Caesar?
Just watch a commercial. I think you'll get the vibe.
Alrighty then. You heard it.
Maybe. No, but so that genre of movies about movies, no spoilers here, unfortunately.
Keep saying that.
I know! It's a problem!
Oh.
It's for people who are willing to read subtitles, point A, unless you speak Spanish and English, in which case you don't have to read any subtitles.
What if you don't speak Spanish or English?
You'll have to read all the subtitles,
I'm
Ruth.
just checking, like,
Yeah.
cover all your bases.
It's true. And so the movie is rated PG, okay?
Is this a mistake?
I would call it Catullus Light. Like Catullus for children.
That doesn't sound great.
No, Catullus
What?
for children. Where it's like,
Again, who of our listeners knows who Catullus is?
Catullus is really, really, he's famous for writing erotic Latin poetry.
So...
Right. So, but it's Catullus for children.
No. You said right.
Light. Catullus Light.
Uh-huh.
Like
and I said so, and you said right.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Keep going.
Okay, so it's like Catullus for children, though, because...
This is not comforting.
There's definitely a lot of implied things. like, that happen, not in a bad way. Like, it just, you know, people are kissing, and then the scene changes, but everyone knows what happened afterwards.
Do they?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
They do! Don't do this to me. Okay, yeah. And then, yes, yeah. And there, okay, so, yeah.
You have said nothing.
Nothing. I know. Cantinflas for Children is the family rating. I'll give it.
That sounds way suspect.
It does, doesn't it? That's wrong. I don't want to make people, like, it's not for the average
What
person.
happened to our scale?
Oh, yeah, I know, our Chaucer scale. I was thinking about the Chaucer scale, and I was thinking maybe we should have on the Chaucer scale other authors.
And so Catullus
is on the far end.
The problem is,
for children,
the average person does not know who Catullus is.
Sometimes it's the moment to learn about the history of Western
You just
literature.
informed us he writes erotic love poetry?
In the elegiac form. Meter.
None of this means quite what anyone thinks it means.
Elegy means... I realized.
Can we rapidly move on?
Yeah. Okay, so, what else to say for people who... It's a movie that... When you want to watch a movie, when you're like, I just want to watch a movie, you could watch this movie when you're like, I don't want to watch a blockbuster. I don't want to watch something that has, like, Transformers, that's a spectacle and is very up in the air and intense-like. But I do want to watch something that's cinematically excellent and, like, it is a very cinematic movie. It has a lot of, it wouldn't work as a TV show. It wouldn't work... I mean, it could actually work as a novel, maybe, but it does have... There is something special to the fact that it is a film, and they play with the filmness really well.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is a pleasure to watch the movie.
Yeah.
Special effects, it's all chill in that department. Nothing jarring. There was that awkward pause. I was just thinking about how, I mean, no, it's all good there. Everything looks normal in context. There's nothing that, like...
I feel like you're responding to words I'm saying, but I have said nothing and made zero facial expressions.
I know, but your go-to question is usually for the special effects people. And I was like, I'll just preemptively that one, and then I'll say, Ruth, you have any more questions? Yeah.
And you know what the next one is, of course.
Oh, music?
Yeah.
Good music. Yeah, pleasant. It isn't particularly distinctive, but it is culturally, like, there's different, you go to different countries.
Is there a composer?
Not a famous one that I know of. No.
Thank you for your help in this regard.
Yeah. So, anything else, Ruth, that an eager wanna know what's up person?
I feel like you're not taking my questions very seriously.
What are you saying? I answered your questions.
Yeah, you did.
Great.
No, it's good.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the medium spoilers section, and then you'll get some insight. Actually, before we do that, there's one thing that I would like to bring up early, just so that people aren't totally taken aback in the film. And it is technically a spoiler, but it is, I think we should discuss it just preemptively.
My concern is mounting.
It's not that bad.
High.
Okay, so it's acting in the 50s, right? Or late 40s, early 50s.
This is new information.
Spoilers. I've crossed the boundaries. All right, we're in the second group, people. Now's the time to back out if you don't want any information. Okay, so, yeah, they're in the late 40s, early 50s movie scene, and it's the, basic plot. Cantinflas is an aspiring, sort of performing actor person, and in Mexico, And so he speaks Spanish, and all the scenes that take place in Mexico are in Spanish except for one of them because they're talking English on purpose. and so you get to see the rise of, and so Cantinflas was a real person. He was a actual. He's claimed, and many people claim him as Mexico's favorite comedic actor.
Cantinflas?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Your pronunciation sounds incredibly German, and I'm still trying to get over that.
Oh, sorry. Cantinflas.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, okay. So, so this is because it's in the early 40s and 50s, Cantinflas actually at one point puts on blackface. It's very early in the film. And this, of course, is a very controversial topic.
No kidding.
Yeah, and blackface has been used, as we know, to marginalize and abuse the African American culture and people and life for many years during the early age of cinema and later on. And at first, I was like, I'm gonna have to. This is the problem. Why did they do this? This makes no sense. And then I met someone. There was another character later in the film who initially I thought was putting on stage makeup. And then I realized that this other character was putting on whiteface.
Oh.
Yeah, which doesn't like justify blackface or whiteface in either case. It doesn't make either of them better. But in the film, it's being used as a demonstration of you can still act and still be true to who you are as a person. Like there's this way they were trying to act different than they were. They're trying to conform to certain standards and certain ways of being in the world, and for both of those people, the one who puts on blackface and the one who puts on whiteface, the film demonstrates that this was not the right decision. They were not supposed to be doing this. There are better ways of there are better things to do with one's acting choices than what they were doing.
All right.
Yeah. So I did want to just bring that up so that, when it happens, when there isn't, people don't, be like, you're justifying the whole thing.
Is this a comedy in any way?
Yes! It is a comedy.
Okay.
Which should have been earlier, I suppose. Yeah, it is comedic. But at the same time, I would call it like one step. I was telling Joseph, our brother, the other day about how I've been actually having trouble finding dramas to watch.
Oh. Right,
we've been watching, I mean, like, in one way, everything is a drama. But in another way, like, movies about, I don't know, romance. That's a rom-com though. I mean dramas are not funny, not deliberately funny movies about the life we live. Do you know what I mean? But not about war, because that's a war movie, and not. I mean, I suppose that could be a drama too. It's just a really hard category to find things in.
Maybe we'll come back to that one.
Okay, so this is like a mix between a drama and a comedy. I'd call it comedy approximate.
Okay.
Yeah. And so yeah, you follow the life of Cantinflas, as he, I mean, I said he was Mexico's most favorite comedian actor.
In, like, real life?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah, he was very successful. You can find his movies today. You have to rent them to watch them, but they are watchable. People, yeah, and he died in 1993.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are young.
We are, aren't we? So much life yet to live. I'm having trouble speaking today, folks. Just keep that in mind. Today, folks. folks. Okay. Medium section questions.
I think they all got used up in the non-spoiler section.
There are side characters. I've told you that it's in Spanish, which is really important.
The main character is Cantinflas?
Yep. Yeah. Although, okay, let's transition to our third section. For the new listeners, this is where we just open all the gates. And now we talk about...
Did you just insert a new sound effect?
I did. And now we talk about all the things in the movie. Came out in 2014, which... I said that already.
Yeah,
okay. So, opening scene. Los Angeles, 1955. Okay. And it's in a studio. A big production studio with docks to go and film your movie in.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, before... is that the first thing? My notes are suddenly more confusing than I thought they were. There's this really beautiful animation at the very beginning that basically gives a history of cinema up until 1955.
Oh. What style of animation?
It's three-dimensional.
Okay.
But it's a mix of that and 2D crossed with... It's just very pretty. Like, there's dulled colors, and the whole thing's in Spanish, though, and this is when I knew I was getting into trouble. So I was like, wait, because I don't speak Spanish, and I wasn't sure if it was just I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to interact with the film, but it's made very well, so I was able, said, as a film, even though I didn't speak Spanish, I could engage with it, which was great. And... yeah, so it references in the introduction, the Ten Commandments has been made at this point, and they're making The King and I, and those are both very famous, very blockbustery movies that we know, you and I.
Ten Commandments was a monstrosity, may I just say.
Did you know that they had to fire a gun instead of saying action to get everyone to move at the same time? It's my go-to Ten Commandments fact.
Yeah, I think you've told me this a couple times before.
At least 3. And then, and The King and I, the musical with famous people.
Yeah.
I should know their names, but I don't. I should have done that. So then after that introduction, you go to Los Angeles, 1955. And you meet this fellow who's going to this meeting with Elizabeth Taylor, who is a name that people probably know. She's a famous actor from the 50s.
Oh, okay, that's why you're saying that.
And they make sure to be like, Elizabeth Taylor, and then they're like, yeah, Liz Taylor, what you doing? It's a, yeah. And Mr. Todd is the man's last name. His first name will come up in my notes later. He wants Miss Liz Taylor to be in the greatest movie that's ever going to be made ever. And they're talking in English at this point because they're in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're going to have all the biggest movie stars in this movie. And it's basically he's invented the cameo for this movie. He's like, you'll be in it for 2 seconds.
Oh.
We're going to make, and they're making... 80 Around the World in 80 Days. So he's gonna get actors and like they'll be in it for a split second as they come to these places, you know.
Oh, okay, that's clever.
Isn't it cool? And he's the Mr. Todd is like, hey, yeah, you will you at least come to the premiere, you know? And she's like, I think I might, you know. It's a whole thing, and then the guy Mr. Todd goes to the car, and his car, and one of the buddies is like, you know, did she sign on or whatever? I didn't think she would. And he's like, well, she'll be at the premiere, man. This is what we're hoping anyways. Because he's got this, just from this conversation, you can tell Mr. Todd has some madcap, like, systematic, gonna fool the world into thinking that everything is going great, but we're still gonna make this amazing movie, but I just have to make sure that I successfully get all these actors before everyone knows that I don't have any of them. It's probably, yeah, you can tell at this point he's having trouble recruiting people. Cut to Mexico. And I missed the date at the introduction, so I can't give you the exact date, but I found out as the movie went along that this is a major flashback. This is probably in the 40s.
Okay.
And it's raining, and this fellow goes into a tent, and it's like a circus tent,
Okay.
But it's the early days of circus tents with, it's the size of a living room, and there's chairs lined up, and the front there's a stage, and these women go up there, and they do this like really uninteresting little dance, and then this a brawl starts out in the middle of the tent because one guy is like, those women are fat, and the other guy is like, don't insult them, that's impolite, and they have this just like fist fight, and our protagonist, Cantinflas, was there, and he sees it happening, and he's like, that's funny, and he goes back and he talks to the manager, and he wants to be an assistant here at this tent. He wants to work in the biz. Cantinflas does. The guy who owns the tent. He's like, I want to work with you.
Yeah,
Can I be your assistant? I get
that part.
Okay. And so he gets hired. And he gets hired partly because apparently he's a boxer. And the next scene, you see like how good of a boxer he is.
Okay.
And on the one hand, he can dodge and weave, and he's got these like quick feet, and he's famous for his like hoppity hoppity. On the other hand, he only dodges and never hits. So he loses, and then you see him. Someone suggests he tries bullfighting. He tries that. Still working for the guy though, who owns the tent. Hippity hoppity, no cigar though.
It's bad for your health.
Yeah. He's flirting with the boss's daughter, though, because she's really nice, and they're like, it's, things happening, and then that's when, so the pivotal moment, he tries to do the blackface, gets booed off stage, he wipes it off, and goes back on stage, because he has to introduce the next act, and they're still kind of like, hoo-a-boo, what are you doing? And then he starts talking to the audience, and basically he performs stand-up comedy. Basically right there he just, and everyone thinks he's so funny, and he's talking away up there, and he gets off stage, and then the daughter just can't resist it anymore, and she tries to go and kiss him, and it's a whole thing, and then of course the boss comes in right then and is like, Cantinflas, and his name isn't Cantinflas, it's Marco. He doesn't go by Cantinflas.
I feel like that should have come up way earlier.
His name is something else. It's
you just said Marco.
Yeah, I think it's Marco. Hang on. I feel like it's an MM.
Marco.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Marco for the moment, but I'll keep calling him Cantinflas because I'm not sure. So he throws him out. He's like, you, what have you done? You're terrible. Get out of here. And, but someone was at the tent show and saw him do his little comedy bit. So he gives him his card and says, call me, because you could be successful, kid.
Yep.
And now we're back in 1955 in LA. And the man is still trying to make his movie. He's still schmoozing the stars. And, he's going to get 50 actors from around the world. And then he talks to the producers, and they're like, reporters are coming from everywhere. We need someone to be there at this press conference, and you're going to tell them what's happening. And if this goes bad, it's all on you, sir. All on you. And they're like,
rude.
And they're like, he's like, oh, we still have this Mexican actor that we're going to look into getting, Cantinflas. And you see a picture of the fellow who we met previously.
Yeah.
But, it's 1931, yo. Whoa. Yo. It's not Marco, It's Maurice.
That's significantly different.
It has an R in it.
Yeah.
M-R. I'm pretty sure,
Maurice.
I really think Mario, that's the other character. Okay. I knew there was a somebody. Okay. He's later on, though. So this is Maurice. And so Maurice then gets going to an actual tent show. Like, the other one was sort of like a shoddy little, tent. But this one is a real one. And, he goes and he sees what it could be, and he sees these Russian dancing sisters, and one of them just captures his little heart. He's just like, wow, she's so beautiful. And,
Poor girl.
Meanwhile, he's enraptured by this woman. But meanwhile, back in 1955, we find out that the producer fellow has to go to Mexico to meet Cantinflas because that's where we are. That's what he's gonna do. And so there's this moment of tension back in 1931 where Cantinflas is he's rehearsing the scene with the guy who recruited him, and he's like, okay, how's it going, everybody? And he tries to do the lines, and then he just starts making this stuff up. Oh. And he says, I just can't remember the lines. Let me just make it up. And his boss is like, you gotta stick to the script, man. He's like, please. And then the boss, looks at his sister, who's one of the Russian ladies who's in the crowd. And, oh no, he turns to his partner, and his partner goes, La Pochka, which is his name.
La Pochka?
La Pochka, because they're all Russians. It's so funny. Russians in Mexico.
The Russian circus?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, and
it's so
then
funny.
I just don't think of not funny in a bad way.
No,
funny
I know what
interesting.
you mean.
And then Cantinflas goes, La Pochka, and it's very they try and yeah. So he keeps doing stand up, and they go to a play and see that politicians laugh at themselves when they see them on play. Stage. Thank you. And then this guy Maurice, who we know as Cantinflas, he gets this package, and he's really excited because he started dating this blonde girl who's the Russian lady, his little Russian lady. And he says, wait a second, I have to show you something, let me prepare. And he says, turn around, close your eyes, and then he puts on his classic Cantinflas clothing, and she turns around and she's like, what is going on? And then the other guy opens the door, and it's now his getup. He's like, I'm gonna play this character on stage who's kind of funny. So yeah, then we find out the producer goes to Mexico. He meets Cantinflas, and I said Maurice, but his name might be Mario, his actual name. Now,
Did you just type it wrong?
I might have typed it wrong. I'm really bad at typing. Oh, it was an M. This is not a problem. Well, this is a problem consistently in all the episodes,
It's not
folks.
a problem.
It is
not a problem.
Oh my goodness. So,
Maurice, the penguin from Madagascar.
I don't think his name is Maurice.
I think it's a lemur.
It's a lemur. Maurice is the lemur.
Yeah.
Yeah. The penguins are Rico.
That is all, folks.
Private. The one in charge. Skipper. And the Kowalski. I got him all!
Gotta catch them all!
Back to Cantinflas.
Oh, that's out of key.
So, they want him to play an Apache in the movie.
What?
And Cantinflas is like, I'll read the script, but I'm not really that interested. Back in 1935, they show up at this theater, and they think they're going to be successful, and then it turns out they have to live in this closet, but this little boy shows up, and he's like, everybody loves you, man. Why aren't you spreading the word? Why isn't it on the newspaper? And he's like, you gotta pay money to have your stuff on the front. And the kid goes, well, I'll tell everybody. And so that night when you see the production, the top shelf of people in the theater is just full, and then the bottom shelf is full as well, but though people on the top are the cheap seats, they're just dying laughing. And at the end, and so like periodically the crowd down below is like shh. But they're just having such a ball. And Cantinflas talks in Mexico Spanish. Mexican Spanish, and not well, he talks in all kinds, but he has dialectical Spanish that he uses at times, and so people found that they really enjoyed that. And so he starts he hears from another producer in 1940. They want him to stick to the script, but they're like, the movie's gonna flop, man. And then of course what happens, he improvises, and the movie line is out the door. That's in 1940, and then 1941. This guy comes to him and is like, I will just give you money. Okay, I will just give you money, and you can do whatever you want. So then we see the scene where the director's like, you gotta stick to the script, and he has this whole tirade, and then Cantinflas is like, well, you think so? Well, you're fired. And he just kicks him out. So it's interesting because the movie is sort of about creative freedom, too.
Yeah.
He does want to be able to make something that is his own, which is, I think, a worthy thing to try and do, rather than just compromising what you think is the, how you want to do it. And so he also has to go to these like Actors Guild banquets, and he sees there's bribes going on. You get insight into the acting world of Mexico in the 40s and 50s that I didn't know existed. He gets really famous, Cantinflas does. But the problem is what, Ruth? His wife is crying.
Wait, he's married?
Oh yeah, the Russian.
Oh. When did that happen?
It happened in like way long time ago when they were still poor.
Well, thanks for letting me know.
I'm sorry. His wife is crying now, and it's so sad. Meanwhile, the producer.
Why is she crying? Hold on.
Because they can't spend enough time with her, and she misses her Cantinflas. Not Cantinflas. She misses her husband. She says, I can't tell when it's you and when it's Cantinflas, and I don't know what to do.
Oh, that's a problem.
It's a big problem.
Downey Jr.
I don't know. Oh, like with his Iron Man-ness and how he is Iron Man?
No, I mean like Downey Jr.
What are you saying?
He has an acting problem. He's working on it.
Oh, good.
I think it's...
How do you know?
He did interviews.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Anyways, so, yeah. And then, little did we know, the producer back in 1955, he was down in the dumps. It was having a bad day. He argued with the producers, and then this other guy, they basically fired him, and this other guy from behind them is like, yeah, you should keep it up, bro. And then he starts walking like Charlie Chaplin, and you're like, oh, it is Charlie Chaplin. Except it's not actually, it's not real. Charlie Chaplin has long since passed away, I believe. So it's not, but in the movie you get really excited because you're like, Charlie
really
Chaplin,
excited.
Exactly. So Mike, who's the producer, his name is Mike.
I'm experiencing slow, crushing disappointment as we speak.
Oh my
goodness. Not Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, it's so sad. He goes to Charlie and he's like, Charlie, I really need your help to get this movie to work.
But it's not Charlie.
The real, I mean, it's an image of Charlie. Okay. Back in 1945, his wife is still crying, and it's the saddest part. They have an Up moment from the beginning of Up, where it's like,
no,
they can't have children.
No.
I just have like lots of ands and frowny faces in my notes.
Oh.
It's very sad for a little bit. Oh yeah, because then Cantinflas, he commits adultery, and you're like, bro!
Who says commits adultery anymore?
People who say it, Ruth.
Oh.
It's tragic. It's so sad. Ugh. And then there's a whole thing with the Actors Guild. There was a march on the Actors Guild by the actors. They called it the March of the Actors to make a separate Actors Guild.
That seems very
and Cantinflas
in character.
He was like, heading this up. He was like, we don't want to be
Are you
controlled.
Explain the adultery thing?
Other than that, it happened and it's sad. It was just with some,
what happened?
Side actor ladies.
Oh.
Yeah. It wasn't, like I said, Catullus Light. There's nothing to tell.
No, see, I don't want that information. I want, like, any motivations here?
Well, because he and his wife have been growing apart.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And she's really, really sad, and he just reacted poorly. I think that's
Thank you
what happened.
for your explanation.
You know me and my psychoanalysis over here.
Yeah, right, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's just not great, and, I think his name is actually Mario, because Mario gets pretty consistent later on.
Why are you like this?
I don't know.
It's great. Keep going.
Okay, so, it just, his life isn't it looks great, right? He's gotten everything he wants, but he, his old friend from the tent yells at him at a banquet and is like, you could have done anything, and you just and you can't have children. And he's like, what? I'm upset now.
Wait, what?
There was a confrontation at a dinner party, Ruth. Needless to say, it revealed the cracks in Cantinflas' character.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then...
she made some really hideous faces in that recount there that none of you were party to.
So, then he takes his wife to a... Oh, no, he doesn't do that yet. Yes. He has a breakdown. Cantinflas does. Because, his wife is sad, his life is bad, it's the personal things are not going really good, and he has a breakdown, and then he sees the script, because we're back in 1955! The stories have met! He sees the script from Around the World in 80 Days that was sent to him, the second script.
Yeah.
And he opens it up, and there's a little note from Charlie Chaplin in it, and you're like, what? I feel so encouraged. It's nobody's even for me, and I feel so encouraged. And the note, so he does a big gesture for his wife. It doesn't really show the whole reconciliation thing in all the grandness it could have been for him and his wife, but they do. They work it out and they get back together.
What did Charlie Chaplin say?
Just a little note about love theater.
Love theater?
I don't know what he said. It was inspirational.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Like Japanese kabuki? Oh, that's not love theater. Which one is it? I don't remember.
What?
It's my theater education. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's bankrupt. I've forgotten so much. Forgive me, DTV.
The straw was, I think, there's a scene where his wife runs away from a dinner party because Cantinflas has been ignoring the people, the people who got him where he was, the people of Mexico. And so she's just very upset, and but he has this moment, reads the note from Charlie Chaplin, and does this gesture for his wife, and then they get back together. And then we go back to 1955 in Los Angeles, and there's this meeting with the producers, and they're all gathered around, and they're like, so, Mike, where's the people? Mike? And they're like, ha, 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 what's your big, you can't do nothing. And who's their waiter?
I have Chaplin.
Cantinflas!
Their waiter?
He pretends to be their waiter.
What?
And just charms them to death, and then scares the man out of his chair. And he's like, yes, I read the new script, and I loved it. And he's now the head, the leader, the main role in the movie.
Cool.
And on top of that, I mean, people were... It's shocking, though, for the producers. They're like, we don't want... Jules Verne didn't write... he wasn't a man from Mexico, a Mexican fellow who was the head. We can't have this. So the producers drop out. And,
what?
But the Mike goes to the press and he says, well, we're making this movie and Cantinflas is the lead, and yep. And they're like, where are you going to get the money? He says, there will be people, who support us.
Uh-huh.
And there were. And you get to see them make this movie, and then, then they go to the Golden Globes.
Okay.
As I said, this was going to be the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah.
Right? And they went to the Golden Globes, and it's, 2 other famous movies.
Good.
Sorry. One of them was, The King and I, though.
Oh.
The King and I was up that year, and one other one that was less recognizable than The King and I. And, Marlon Brando was in it, though. Do you know who that is, Ruth?
Nope.
I don't think I've ever seen Marlon Brando.
I don't even know modern actors, so.
Well,
Marlon Brando?
I know the name, but not the person. So do you want to know who won?
Yeah.
Around the World in 80 Days got the Golden Globe in 1955.
Really?
Yeah.
So is this actually true to history?
Yeah, it actually happened.
Wow.
I know.
That's
And
cool.
you're really proud of all the work that happened.
So is this a documentary?
No.
Or historical fiction?
It's historical fiction. It's kind of like I was trying to think of one, but I really couldn't think of one.
Alrighty, sounds good.
I know.
That's okay.
Okay. But it's super exciting, and Mike had asked, it is Mario, I'm pretty sure at this point, if he wanted to stay, Cantinflas, if he was like, do you want to stay in LA? And he's like, no, I'm going to go back to Mexico, and my wife and I are thinking of adopting, which in my mind, I really thought, they were gonna think of adopting. I was really excited for them. They came to the conclusion, because they couldn't have children, but they were going to adopt children. It's really exciting. And and then Mike and Liz Taylor got married, though. The producer guy. Turns out, in reality, Liz Taylor from the beginning. And then a year after their marriage, he died in a plane crash.
Are we talking about the actors or the characters?
The actual people.
Well, that got dark.
But it got exciting too, and sad.
Yes,
but cool.
Death is very exciting.
No, he got married though. It was lovely.
Who got married?
The producer at the beginning, who was talking to Liz Taylor, who we were following through the film. He married Liz Taylor.
What was the producer's name?
Mike. First name Todd.
Okay.
No. No, that seems wrong.
Watch the movie, folks. You'll find out.
This is crucial. Whenever you listen to our podcast, you gotta watch the movie, and
No, unless it's bugs.
Oh yeah, avoid bugs. Avoid the bug, folks.
And maybe that other one that wasn't Indiana Jones.
Oh right, the not Indiana Jones one. But this one was good. I recommend this one. It captures movie magic.
This is pretty different than any of the other ones you've done.
I would say so. Why do you say so, Ruth?
I mean, it's not really fiction like the other ones are in the same way.
It's true. It's based on someone's life. And, additionally, I would say that Cantinflas isn't very popular I know who Marlon Brando is. I've just heard the name around, but I haven't heard the name of Cantinflas.
So, is this movie popular in other parts of the globe, then?
That's a really good question. Maybe. That would make sense.
We'll get back to you on that.
We'll get back, like we did with Air Bud. Have hope, folks, because Air Bud came back this week, and we found out it was part of Disney, so we are gonna come back with more facts on Cantinflas.
I'm kind of disappointed about that, actually. I wished it wasn't part of Disney.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were disappointed that I was gonna come back next week with Cantinflas facts.
Yeah, real disappointing.
I
try
to do good, Ruth. I try.
You do fine.
Do you have anything to tell the people at home?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Brush your teeth, everyone.
It's good for them.
Don't use Cantinflas.
Don't use Cantinflas. Use normal floss with an O.
Would you spell Cantinflas for us?
So it's based off of the words cantina and the Spanish word for fly, because someone called him a cantina fly.
Isn't that derogatory?
I don't know. They were mean. They were in the audience and they were like, "You're just a cantina fly."
Not cool,
he was
bro.
like, but then he was like, "That's right. That's me. I'm a cantina fly." He owned it and was like, "I am Cantinflas. Cantinflas." Yeah.
So again, CANT.
Oh.
INFLAS.
They'll see it when they click on the episode, I think. Also, though, when you said CA, I was wondering what you were gonna say about B. All right, Ruth, it's time to close.
End it now.
We need a song.
We do.
This has been a lovely podcast. We hope you'll join us next week. Tell us what you think on Twitter, maybe. And don't forget to brush your teeth. All right, folks. See you next week.
Bye.